The topic which I am going to discuss today is about the Metaverse. What is Metaverse? Metaverse is nothing but a virtual world where there will be every aspect of a real world, like starting from buildings, starting from malls and so on, and many other infrastructural aspects and several other aspects will be there virtually. Now we are seeing the pictures of some things in a 2D format, and then with the development of technology we are now seeing it in a 3D format with the help of some technologies like augmented reality. But sometimes later when we will be having the concept of metaverse developed very deeply, we will be having the option to see a virtual world with the help of some of the gadgets or with the help of some of the accounts in some platforms. For example, we will take a real case where a big giant company, Facebook, has changed its name to Meta because like it has thought in a future perspective that this technology is going to be big, and they have even changed their name to this. And you can see the M of the first letter M representing a virtual glass. So this is going to be the future. Like how will this help us? Let us see. But before that, we will still understand the metaverse more. Like how we are an individual in the world, in the virtual world or the meta world created by any organization or any company. We will be having avatar of ourselves, like a virtual avatar of ourselves in that representing us. We can buy lands there, we can join events there, and so on. Even some of the banks and some of the events have been conducted in metaverse, and even a marriage has been conducted using metaverse in India itself. So this technology will be developing more in the future as well. Firstly, let us get into some of the advantages of metaverse. Firstly, due to metaverse, the connectivity within the world will be very good, and it is the one of the most notable advantage of metaverse. We wouldn't be having any geographical barriers and problems like that we are in a different location. From being in Chennai, I will be able to meet a friend in New York or in London with a virtual avatar of mine to the virtual avatar of my friend. We will be able to shop together, we will be able to play together, and so on in the virtual world. So the socialization and connectivity within the individuals will be better. So this is the first aspect. And next to it, there will be a better upgradation of social medias, as the contemporary social media is more of messaging and video calls to some extent. The introduction of metaverse will improve this even more, and there will be a better scope of communicating with the world. And this point is something an extension of the previous point, but also it's also important in this aspect. Like some platforms like LinkedIn and so on, we are able to get knowledge from some of the bright minds or some of the experienced people in several industries just by messaging them. But when this has been introduced, we will be able to have a better interaction with them, and we will be able to learn even more, and it would be helping us in that way. Next to it, due to metaverse, there will be new business opportunities, as this is a new world or a new technology and so on. There will be many small businesses in this virtual world, and people will be having some benefits due to it, and they will be having some advantages of it, and so it's a good option as well. And next to it, the most important thing, the online learning and education uh, will be developed to a greater extent because of metaverse, as the online education now in the contemporary society is not being very better, and even we might have heard that students complaining that online classes are not equal to offline classes, because the exposure that we have in online class is very less, as we generally have the teachers unmuting and taking the classes. But with the introduction of this uh, metaverse, we'll be having a real time, will be having something similar to or even better to the real life classrooms, as we will be having teachers who will be explaining with us virtually. And for example, if they are explaining some concepts, they can bring into the technologies like artificial intelligence and so on, and they can explain it in a better way, so that students would even get a better understanding of concepts. And so uh, next to it, there are some of the advantages like nfts are nothing but uh, it's like uh, a copyright or a patent by an individual who has some own creativity, and who has a mark or a reward for his creativity. Like if I am singing a song, and I am having the ownership of it, I'll be paid for every purchase that my song is being used or done like that. So this would help creators a lot, and this would improve the innovation in people's, and creative ideas will be uh, developed to a large extent. So these are some of the reasons why the metaverse is important, and it's some of the good things why the metaverse is important. We saw advantages till now. Now let us get into the disadvantages. Firstly, the cybercrime will be a serious problem when the metaverse has been developed, as the metaverse is a new concept, and still uh, it's a, it's a bit sophisticated, and this makes extremely vulnerable uh, uh, to all sorts of illegal activities like fraud, money laundering, illegal goods, and so on. The chances of occurring of this, so on, and this will take time for the government to understand this new technology, and have their uh, have their defense against it, and so this is a disadvantage, and this might get solved after a few years of this. So this can be lightly neglected. Next, it has a negative impact on cultures and societies. Like if people are going to when people are spending the majority of time in metaverse, and like when they are doing this, they won't get socialized with the outside people and the outside world. So the chances of them getting the culture or the cultural aspects or festivals and so on is slightly less, and they would be interested in the trending things which are going in metaverse. So this is there's a disadvantage in this aspect. Next to it, the metaverse might lead to addiction, like uh, game addiction has become a serious issue, and even government has banned some of the apps like PUBG and Free Fire, and also some of the video platforms like TikTok has been uh, seen one among the most addicted platforms of social media, and luckily they are being banned by the government, and so the people who have been addicted from it might have got some other alternatives, and they could have uh, made themselves in a good path, or in a part which is helping their lives. But addiction to metaverse can distract an individual from their goals, and it would make the students and some students to deviate from studies, and have more more leisure time and so on. This is a third biggest disadvantage that metaverse is having. And more than a very important thing, very important disadvantage is privacy. Privacy has always a concern on the internet, with the people unaware of their data collected, and which are sold for advertisements. Like we ourselves wouldn't have expected these aspects, or we wouldn't have thought about these aspects, or we were unaware that data being collected from us. We could have seen in some scenarios, like when we are browsing about shoes in Amazon, or we are talking about something, we might get recommendations related to that brand. We might feel this is okay, but in some aspects, when we feel like someone is constantly hearing us, there might be a feeling of subdued among us. So when there is metaverse, the privacy will be a question mark. And next to it, next disadvantage, we have mental health issues. Like when we are having more exposure to this, we might have some psychological impacts of this, like separation, depression due to this, like depression due to the happenings in this. Like now itself, we sometimes feel like when some individuals who are happily posting pictures on social medias, and we do not post photos like them, we might feel somewhat depressed. So when we come in metaverse, there are chances that like the role of business in it and marketing in it. For example, if we want to look more attractive, there will be some extra payments and editing options. So if there is something like this, then there will be differentiations and depressions due to this. So these chances are there. And so psychological problems like depression and other mental health issues are drawback. And next, coming to a very important and the last point in the disadvantages of metaverse, is the virtual bullying. Bullying is a state where when we tease another person, and we make them down, and so on. Bullying happens in many places, in many forms. So when we come to the meta world, when a person looks, or the avatar looks very not so good, we might bully them, or as peoples of all cultures would be there. Like if a person from the white man bullies a black man based on his color and involves in racist action, it would not be better. If it happens like how it is happening now in the real world. So bullying will also be a big issue. And even the physical world, there are some norms and some social norms which we follow, and some activities which we do. But in a social world or in a virtual world, people wouldn't be having any social control. So there are more chances that they could be deviant, and they might involve in virtual bullying. And even in a recent news, there was a news that a woman was being harassed verbally by 3 to 4 months in the meta world. So this happens. So problems like this, if it happens there, then it won't be nice. So these vulnerabilities are also there in the meta world. If the above said disadvantages, or the before said disadvantages have been rectified with proper solutions and proper ideas, or strict rules regulating this, it would be better, and people would be happily, or it would be a better world virtually. Yeah, so these are the disadvantages of the metaverse. Conclude by saying that any technology, it would be, it depends upon the way we use the technology. Like a knife, it can be used for cutting vegetables. It is used by doctors for surgery, and it is used by criminals for criminal activities, and it depends upon the use. Similarly, drugs are used for medicinal purposes and also for addiction purposes. It depends upon our usage. Similarly, the technologies like metaverse, it is a huge opportunity for making our talents uh, to reach across the world and so on. So the technologies like metaverse should be used wisely, and the social norms and values must be taken even into the metaverse, and we must use it wisely. Thank you.